Hello everybody, it is me, Chasey Poo. How's it going today? You good? Because I'm good. And I feel like that's rare for me, especially because this is a mental health update video. And I haven't done a mental health video in a really long time because I didn't want to talk about really sad stuff that would make me super sad after filming this video and while editing it and while posting it. So it's like 3 occasions of sadness that I just couldn't deal with it. I don't have the tools that I need in order to be able to process certain things. So this is a good mental health update. This is like a step in the right direction because something really cool happened and I just want to share it with all of you. I shared it with some people on Instagram a couple of days ago, and the reaction that I got was just so great. People were just so nice, so thank you for that, and thank you for being awesome and still sticking with me even though I was not good for a while. But yeah, something cool happened. So let's just start, not from the beginning, but like I've been on a specific type of medication, an antidepressant, for 4 years. I tried to get off of it once and it did not work well for me, so I went back on. So I'm still on that one and I'm good with it and I'm not getting off of it. But I still suffer from like a lot of anxiety because the specific antidepressant that I'm on is like a stimulant, which is really not good for anxiety, if you know what I'm saying. Also, I can't say brand names or else this video won't be monetized, and I'm having so many issues with my other videos not being monetized, so let's try not to swear or say any brand names. So because I was dealing with anxiety and I do have a lot of traits and a lot of symptoms of PTSD related to a car accident I was in October, and then also OCD, intrusive thoughts, which I only found out recently. And these are things that I haven't really talked about online except the car thing. But I haven't really ever talked about the OCD stuff because I don't feel like it's real or like it's valid or anything like that. But I feel like it's time to open up about this stuff because there's such a stigma around mental health. And I will tell you beginning of the video and at the end of the video, I don't care what anybody thinks about this related to me, okay? I don't care. I don't care because I'm finally going to be better. Like, that's all that I care about. I don't care how other people see me. And I want to make sure that other people who might be suffering from similar things or the same things or completely different things, but are in a similar situation, that they don't feel so excluded and alone, because I knew I wasn't alone, but I didn't want to talk about it because I felt like I was going to be judged. So I'm on this new medication now, and I've been on it for about 4 months, and we are going so slow with the increments, like 10, 20, 30, and then I was at 30 for like 2 months. Now I just started on 40. Like, you're supposed to be up at like 80 or 100 or something, but I've reacted really badly to SSRIs in the past, so I didn't want to go quickly and not be okay again. So we are going very slow, and I'm very comfortable with that. So the point of this video, okay, is to let you know that sometimes labels are good, and I am not searching for a diagnosis. I am okay knowing that some of the things that I have in my mind may be real, maybe not real. And I know that that's a little bit vague, but I'll explain in a second. But it makes me feel valid and validated and real when a diagnosis has been applied to me. But here's the thing, is that I'm not looking for a diagnosis, okay? I've never actually been diagnosed with anxiety or depression. And like, I don't have an official diagnosis, but it doesn't matter because I was still able to get the care that I need via medication, though, not therapy, and I need therapy. So anyways, long story short, I'll tell you 2 things. The first thing is that a couple of months ago, I was watching TV and it was a news segment, and there was a man who was talking about OCD and intrusive thoughts. And I was like, that's interesting. I think I kind of like, I can like a little bit relate. I have these like weird thoughts in my head that pop up, that have been popping up since I was 13 years old. I'm 27, by the way. And as he was talking, I was like, wait a minute, this is part of OCD? I was very confused and I didn't really understand how it could be related to OCD. So then I looked it up, and I'm not like looking it up and trying to, oh yeah, look, the symptoms of this match me. No, but I will tell you, reading the diagnosis criteria for OCD and intrusive thoughts together was the most that I ever in my entire life have identified with a diagnosis criteria, even more so than gender dysphoria. At the time when I was younger and got this diagnosis, it was gender identity disorder, but I identify way more and see myself way more somehow in the OCD diagnosis. But again, not my purpose is to like get a diagnosis. That's not my purpose at all. I just want help. I just want somebody to be able to follow my care. I just graduated from my school. I no longer have a psychiatrist there, and I need somebody to follow up my care with like medication and stuff. So I got a phone call, all right, and just before that, just to let you know, in the last couple of months, I've been thinking a lot about the intrusive thoughts and kind of trying to deal with them and try to deal with how to handle them. And I'm not going to go into what my intrusive thoughts are and what I think and how horrible they are and stuff like that. But I know that some people might be suffering from it, so I just want to say that you're not alone. Okay, I have like literally horrible thoughts in my head that come up every single day. There is not one day since I was 13 years old, okay, that a thought has not come in my head. They're all very similar thoughts, and it's just very violent and very, I don't want to trigger warning this right now, so I'm not going to talk about it. But if anybody actually wants me to go into it, I maybe one day. But yeah, so I got a call this week saying, you have an appointment at the anxiety disorder clinic. And I was like, okay, I don't even remember getting referred. Apparently I got referred in June. For Quebec, 2 months is very quick for a referral. I thought it was in November. I was like, oh, that's still quick. November to August, sure. So I was like really surprised. So let me tell you my experience going to this anxiety disorder clinic, because I have gone through so many assessments. And the thing with assessments is that you kind of have to pour your soul out and pour all of your trauma onto these people who listen, and then they let you leave. And you know what they do? They never call you back. And because there's no space, or you're not anxiety enough, you're not anything enough, they don't have room, there was no point, or there's like 3-year waiting lists. So I've gone through assessments where I'm like, okay, they're going to call me back. And then they either call me back because they tell me that there's no space, or that I don't fit into the program. So I just told my story to like 5 different people for no reason, and it did nothing for me except hurt me when I went home, and I just felt super like disconnected from everything and everyone. So I kind of given up on assessments, to be honest, but I was like, you know what, this appointment is free. I live like 20-minute walk away, and it's like tomorrow. So yeah, sure, I'll go. I think there was a cancellation because they were like, can you come tomorrow? I was like, oh yeah, I'll come. So I walk in, and I'm assessed by a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and a psychology intern. And I was just chill. I wasn't really nervous, but I don't know how to explain this. They listened, okay? And I have been through so many doctors and therapists and psychiatrists and medical professionals that sit there, they take notes, they ask you questions, and they hear you, but they're not listening. And that's been my biggest complaint. And while I was talking, I'm like, I know that I sound like I'm really picky with my therapist, because like this one I didn't like because the way that she was doing therapy made me feel worse. And when I told her that, she's like, that's good, you're doing the work. And I was like, I'm not that type of person that can do that though. And then how I had other therapists in the past who said some really inappropriate things about trans things. And it was just, I didn't expect anyone to react to that. And I'm like, I'm sorry I sound so picky. And one of them literally said, it's okay to be picky. This is your mental health. And I just stopped. I was like, oh my God, wait, they're listening? They're listening to what I'm saying. Like, they're listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. They're actually processing them, and they're not like putting their own words or their own diagnosis or anything in their own minds, thinking that that's what I said, because that's what I always feel like. And I'm not paranoid or anything like that, but I've had so many bad experiences that having this experience that's good doesn't feel real. Like, I feel like I'm still disassociating from my appointment where it happened. So I felt like I was actually being listened to and heard and taken seriously. So I went through my mental health history, all the therapy that I've had, all the psychiatrists that I've had, the medication that I've been on, and then we went into my traumatic events, which I knew was going to be hard to talk about, but I needed to. So we talked about the car accident that I was in when I was younger, and how I was in another car accident in October of last year. And then they asked me to explain like what happened, and not like they're curious to know what happened, but like they want to know maybe like what traumatized me, or how I talk about it, or I don't know if it relates to something else. I don't know, but they just seemed like they really wanted to like get to the root of the problem as to why I'm not okay. And I will tell you that the second I started talking about the car accident, I started to stutter. I go blank. I don't remember names of things. I remember the event way too clearly. I wish I could forget, but I remember too much of it. And they made me kind of not like relive it, but every time I think about it, I feel like I'm there again. So I was there and I told them, sorry, you just need to give me a minute. This is really hard. Then they respected that. They gave me a couple seconds for me to like regroup myself. And then I started to talk about the accident, and I was stuttering a lot, and I couldn't remember the name for like tour guide, and I was saying how I think the driver, I don't know. Okay, so when I think about that, accident, my mind just goes blank, and all I see is being in that van again, in the car, and blood and stuff like that. Trigger warning. So yeah, I don't want to go into that in this video. I made a video last year about the accident. I called the video I almost died, I think. Just give me 1 second. I need to regroup myself because I just realized that I was stuttering during that entire conversation. I don't know when it started. Hopefully it stopped now, because that would be great if it would stop. I don't even realize it happens. So that's fun. So I think that after I started to talk about the accident, they saw how distressed I was, and then I told them about all my other traumas. I left the room. They talked amongst each other, and then I went back in the room, and there was like the lead psychiatrist and then another psychologist, I believe, in the room. So there was 5 of them in the room, and I didn't even feel intimidated because, again, I didn't have any hope. I felt like they were actually listening, which was great, but I was like, they're not going to help me. And they were like, so we're going to officially diagnose you. And honestly, the second she said those words, I was like, wait, what? Are you serious? She literally said, so we're going to officially diagnose you with OCD and with PTSD. We're not going to diagnose you with a generalized anxiety disorder. You have it, but we believe that it's a co-symptom of OCD. So you do have it, but you don't have an official diagnosis for it, which is fine. And that I have BPD traits, because we talked about that a little bit. Because I've been suffering for a very long time about that, and I've never really talked about it because it's so stigmatized. And I don't have BPD, but I have a lot of the BPD traits, which I don't really know what to do about that. But then they told me that they're admitting me into the anxiety disorder clinic, which is an outpatient clinic, and that I'm getting free individual therapy and free group therapy. And it starts like in 2 weeks. And I feel like I'm finally gonna get better. I feel like they listened to me, and I sat there and they asked me like, are you okay? I'm like, I literally said, I feel seen. I feel so seen right now. I feel like you actually listen to me, and you actually want to help me, and you can help me. I feel like you actually care. Every other experience that I've had felt like nobody cared about me, and then nobody cared about my treatment. And I just felt like I fell beneath the cracks a lot, especially last year and the beginning of this year. I felt like nobody cared. And even though I went to see so many different types of mental health professionals, and I've been to the hospital, the mental health hospital, no one cared. They basically put it in my hands. So what do you want? You know? And I don't know what I want. You're the professional. I literally don't know. I'm not okay. I don't know what I need, and I don't know what I want. So that was a bit of a relief to hear like these 5 people in a room who are these professionals in this anxiety disorder clinic literally tell me that all of my suspicions of my diagnoses were correct, because I knew all of those things before. So it wasn't like a surprise to me, but it was a surprise that I got diagnosed. And I will tell you how good it feels, okay? Because yeah, who the fuck wants to be diagnosed with OCD and PTSD and anxiety disorder and BPD traits? Now, I don't think anybody actually wants that. But I'm so happy that I have these labels on me now. Do you know why? Because now I have access to the help that I need. And I never really understood why a diagnosis was so important until yesterday, when I was in that appointment and they told me, you're gonna get therapy because you have more than 2 anxiety disorders. We're admitting you to this clinic, and you're going to get free therapy. You're going to get a therapist, and you're gonna get group therapy as well. They don't usually put people who have OCD and PTSD in the group therapy. It's usually more for people with anxiety disorders that are more anxiety related, like anxiety, because my anxiety is more related to OCD, but they think that it could really, really help me to talk about anxiety and coping mechanisms with other people, since I've been out of therapy for such a long time. I'm gonna end this video right now just because I feel a little shook because of the accident story that I don't want to go into again. But I just want to say that I'm happy that I can say it, and not that I needed a doctor to validate me and a doctor to tell me, oh yeah, you have OCD. So now, oh look, I have OCD, and now I'm gonna like talk about it all the time. I'm not gonna do that. But what I will do is I'm not gonna stay silent. I'm not gonna hide behind the internet of smiley faces and good pictures. I'm going to talk about when I'm not okay, which I've always done, but I want to talk about it more. And I want people to know that even though I am maybe a public figure online, I have all these subscribers and like I look happy all the time, like I suffer from a lot of things, but I can still get stuff done. Not that everybody who has OCD, PTSD and stuff like that can, but I'm just saying that it's possible. And it's possible, it's looking up for me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't mean to sound rude or anything like that, but I feel like I'm finally being seen and being taken seriously, and I want to help break the stigma of trans people with mental illnesses and mental health issues, because it's like, do you have mental health issues because you're trans, or are you trans because it's a mental illness, you know? Which is BS on both sides. These are completely unrelated. They even asked me what I do my YouTube about, and I said trans issues, and then they asked about something in 2013. It's like, oh, is that when you started to transition, or is that when you transitioned? I'm like, no, I transitioned in 2009. Like, I don't even talk about that anymore. And you know what? They actually respected that. They didn't even ask me any questions about being trans, and I was like, wow. They want to get to the root of the problem. And I told them it's not about my transition, especially because I mentioned the car accidents. They were like, that seems like where it's from. Because when I was 14, a lot of stuff happened. A lot of trauma and like sexual things and sexual trauma that I've never talked about online that I really don't want to talk about. And yeah, I am just going to talk about it. And I don't care what people say, because I want to get better, and I want other people to get better. And I want other people who might have the same things and suffer, I don't really like that word, but suffer from the similar things that I have, to know that they're not alone and that I'm here and you're there, and let's help each other. Honestly, I feel like I look like super unmotivated right now, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just mentally exhausted because I do a lot of mental gymnastics to be okay every single day and go outside of my house. And to have somebody literally say, it sounds like you do a lot of mental gymnastics, without me even saying that, my brain is still trying to process people actually listening to me. It feels so good to finally be seen, and it still hasn't sunk in that I have an actual diagnosis of OCD and PTSD. I mean, I suspected those for years because I've been dealing with a lot, but I have PTSD, and I have OCD. I have intrusive thoughts. I have BPD traits, which are very stigmatized. Also, that's borderline personality disorder, not bipolar disorder. A lot of people think that's that, but it's not that. And I have anxiety, but we all knew that. Anyways, so that's my story, little story time for you about my assessment at the anxiety disorder clinic and how I am now part of that clinic, and I am super happy. I want to absolutely update you on what happens. I would like you to ask me some questions if you'd like about OCD. Maybe if you have OCD and you don't understand it, or you have people in your life who have OCD and don't understand it. I want to talk about it. I want people to know that it's okay to talk about, and that what really matters is that you get better. All right, I'll see you later. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Bye.